Yeah, well, I mean, we spent a week reviewing a lot of things. We've had the players in early in the week, and then we've had the staff in now the back end of the week. We've got our head around a few things. Although there's some really disappointing aspects in terms of where we finished and some of our performances weren't up to our standard. We've seen plenty of areas where as coaches we can improve, where our delivery needs to be a little bit better. But also we've seen some really good improvements within other aspects of the squad and our programme. We saw a few green shoots with a lot of young players coming through throughout the season. Someone gave me a number, we'd played 39 players, I think, throughout the season, and a lot of those numbers come from our youth system. So in time, whilst it might be, we're not quite seeing the results just yet. In time, it'll put us in a much better position.
And obviously, it was you had such a good first season. Perhaps maybe you'd even say that you overachieved with the ambition set in that year. Does that make it even more disappointing the way this year's turned out?
I think, well, regardless of my first year, we're disappointed with year two. Not that bad, but you're up against other teams that are also striving to be where we want it to be. So we understand the competition's higher. Listen, regardless of what happened in my first year, I'm disappointed with the second year. I think as a head coach, it's my second year only, and you only get that once. And some of the lessons that I've learned from what I can do better now in my third year, then I'll be a much better coach in the upcoming season. So I think I got a couple of things, didn't quite nail a couple of things in pre-season. We went away from a few things that had worked really well in year one, and we probably didn't go right back to the beginning. We're right back to the basics, so we'll be doing that this year.
I was going to say, is that something then you will look to implement this pre-season? How do you envisage the next couple of months looking?
Yeah, well, I mean, the guys have got a few weeks off now, and well deserved, because although the results have not been there, there's been so much effort and exhaustion on the field. A lot of guys, in fact, we've got 6 or 7 guys in the gym now, are injured players that are trying to get themselves as healthy as possible for day one of pre-season. But we'll go back to the drawing board. We'll go back to some hard work. We'll get some basics done pre-Christmas, and we've got better new players coming in, so integrating them into the group, upgrading them on our standards and our culture. That'll be the first phase of pre-season. But encompassing all that will be going back to square one.
You touched on the injured players there, and obviously I think you'd be keen to say it's not an excuse for how things have turned out, but how big an impact does that have on such key players as well?
Yeah, well, it does take an impact on the season. You can't underestimate that. But also, during the course of a season, you do expect them. All right, and every team has them, so there's no way I can sit here and say that's a reason. It's part of some of our poor cohesion. Not having some of our game breakers out there at times. But again, on the flip side of it, we probably won't have seen as much of some of our younger players. So that's why I'm confident some good things will come through the adversity of 2025. It's although it's just part of the season, it's just one factor in which we look at, can we get better, are there things we can improve on, is some of our training methods part of those reasons why we're picking up injuries. And it was just, we had a lot of unfortunate situations, 3 ACLs and a lot of contact injuries, things that are really just unavoidable. But we'll be looking to be more robust and condition ourselves for a tough year next year.
I know you said in your presser after the Hull KR game about the impact that Wembley, the defeat at Wembley had. People forget we're 2.5 minutes away, I think it was, from lifting the Challenge Cup. Just expanding, like you said, I think you used the word draining. Yeah,
so I mean, obviously, we got to Wembley again, which is a great achievement itself for the club. It's such a special day, and I'm thankful that we got to go there again. And more so than anything, we got there, through a bit of adversity. We lost a few players, some of our really key players as well, and we put together some great performances to get ourselves a chance at lifting some silverware. And unlike 2024, this year we got a great game out. we got to the race and executed our game plan in tough conditions. We did everything but win the game. We all know what happened there in the last couple of minutes, and that's just sport. A roll of a ball, a bounce of a ball, making the play or whatever is sometimes the difference. And a couple of moments cost us there, but we have a team of players that not a lot of them have won many things. So for them, there's a lot on the line. And I had some players that knew they were moving on, a few that were retiring. I think when the final whistle went and we didn't come away with what we went for, I've never seen a group of players so emotionally drained. There's so many grown men upset in the changing room after that game were tough to see, and I knew the guys might take a little while to recover from that. We tried our best the following week at Leeds for 40, 50 minutes, and then I could see the emotional drain in the last half an hour of that game. And really from then we struggled to find any momentum and get ourselves back off the canvas and get going. We tried everything as a group. We tried changing things up. We tried having a bit more energy to certain aspects of our game, but essentially we kept picking up a few more injuries, and then our confidence did get eroded, and we struggled to find any sort of momentum, which has been a big part of our review, how we can do things a little bit better, how we can reset after moments like that and improve as a group.
Just on discipline in the second half of the year, so towards the end of the year, players like Matt Duffy, Toby King were dropped quite publicly for a game. Is that when players fall below standards, is something you're going to look to implement more? Yeah,
well, I think it's something we need to be hard on as a club, and from top right down to bottom. I think when things are going well and you're winning, you can sort of skim over a few things. But I think standards should be set by our players as well. As a coach, as the head coach, we have what we call acceptable and not acceptable, and it's up to the players to be policing that. So we'll put a big ownership on developing some of our leaders internally and keeping our standards high through the pre-season. But some things just weren't acceptable within the group, and to be fair to the players, they got on with that and accepted it, and since have been in a better position.
And just on the youth, so I think 11 out of the 18 in that last game against Hull KR were homegrown. If you chuck Danny Walker, obviously Warrington lad, that's 2/3 of the team. Yeah. Is that, do you envisage more matchday teams going forward looking like that, perhaps?
Oh, I mean, the goal here at Warrington now is to grow within. Obviously before I arrived, Gary Chambers, Ryan O'Brien, obviously Rich Marshall's also been a big advocate of our junior programme, but you're starting to see now a few of the younger players be ready and available to play first team. I've got enough belief in them to give them a go when they're ready. So hopefully, we see that keep progressing. I think, we've had players come in, younger players come into our group, and you've seen them develop. So the system here is really working well in that aspect. You saw both teams, our reserve grade team and academy team, make the grand finals. So you can see they're obviously doing a lot of good things down in that system. And that might take 12 months, 18 months, 2 years before you see the absolute fruition of that. But no doubt you've seen a little taste of it, and that Hull KR game, if anything to go by, I think we had 6 players under 22 or 23 here. So they're all come through our academy system. So in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to think a few more will creep through, and they'll just carry the culture of the club forwards.
Yeah. How do you sort of find that balance as a coach with giving them opportunity and experience, but also not exposing them too young, too early?
Yeah, I think obviously the player tells you a lot, the character of the player. With Aaron Lindop, for example, I played him in my first game as head coach against the most physical side at the time in Catalans, away in Catalans, and I handled it very well. So I know he's going to be a star of the future because of his courage. And some of the guys tend to take a little bit longer to warm up to it, so it's just getting a gauge of where the players are, can they mentally handle it, and then also physically. The week to week is very hard. We played 32 games, I think, this year, with only a 1 week break in the middle somewhere, which is very demanding for some of these younger players. So, being mindful not to overuse them and damage them long term, but also make sure that they're developing it at the right speed.
So, just looking at what does 2026 What does success in 2026 look like?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So we want absolute improvement on 2025. I think I've always liked to coach a team that the fans can be proud of, and I dare say some weeks they weren't in 2025. So we'll be going back to square one, getting our effort right, getting our determination right. Success will look like a team that the town can be proud of.
And obviously, no better opportunity to do it than 150th year for the club as well.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting period for the club. I'm really excited, obviously, that I get to lead the club through this phase. It's the 150th year of existence. So there's going to be some great activation. And the players are going to, our pre-season will theme a lot of things around that, and dig deeper into some of the culture and the history of the club, and hopefully you see it reflected in our performance.